was the hardest man in the UK? Ever heard of Lenny McLean? Lenny McLean, a name synonymous with brute strength, fear, and a reputation that paints a picture of Britain's hardest man. Born on April 9, 1949 in Hoxton, East London, Lenny McLean was a larger-than-life character, both in the literal and figurative sense. Standing at 6 feet 3 inches and weighing in at over 20 stone, his physical presence was as formidable as his reputation. But who was Lenny McLean? A boxer, bouncer, actor and author, Lenny was a man of many talents, but none more infamous than his ability to fight. His grit and prowess in the ring earned him the title of an unlicensed boxing champion, an accolade that further solidified his status as the UK's hardest man. However, to truly understand the gravity of his title, we must delve into the world of unlicensed boxing. This was a realm where the traditional rules of boxing were thrown out of the window, where the fights were brutal, and only the toughest could emerge victorious. And in this world, Lenny McLean reigned supreme. His nickname, the Guv'nor, was a testament to his hard-man persona. The term Guv'nor, London slang for boss, was a title bestowed upon him by those who had witnessed his strength, both inside and outside the ring. He was the boss, the man to beat, the one who set the rules. He was the Guv'nor. But Lenny McLean was more than just a hard man. He was an enigma, a paradox of strength and vulnerability, of fear and respect. His story is not just about a man who could fight, but a man who lived through adversity, who stood his ground, and who in his own way became a legend in his own right. Now let's delve into the early life of this notorious figure. Born and raised in Hoxton, East London, McLean's life was far from ordinary. His childhood was a harsh reality check, filled with struggle and hardship. The son of a working-class family, Lenny's upbringing was tainted by the violent and abusive behavior of his stepfather. This tumultuous environment became a crucible, shaping Lenny into a hardy individual at a very young age. He learned to fend for himself, resorting to bare-knuckle boxing as a means to survive the rough streets of Hoxton. His stepfather's brutal behavior left indelible marks on his psyche, pushing him towards a life of confrontation and toughness. In the face of such adversity, Lenny didn't buckle. He chose to forge his own destiny, to turn the dross of his early life into steel. These experiences, as grim as they were, laid the foundation for the man Lenny would become. From the streets of Hoxton, Lenny McLean rose to infamy. The rough and tumble world of East End London was a crucible that forged McLean into a man of iron. The alleyways and shadowy corners where he once roamed as a lad became the training grounds for his entry into an underground world that few dare to navigate, the world of unlicensed boxing. In this clandestine sphere, McLean was not just a participant, he was a force of nature. His fists, like hammers, pounded his opponents into submission, earning him a reputation that spread like wildfire through the dimly lit pubs and clubs of London. His name became synonymous with strength, not just physical, but a mental toughness that was equally intimidating. He was a man who could take a punch, but more importantly, he was a man who could dish it out. As his fame grew, so did his influence. The doors of London's most notorious clubs began to swing wide open for McLean. He became a fixture at these establishments, not just as a patron, but as a bouncer. His towering presence was a deterrent for anyone who dared to cause trouble. His reputation as the Guv'nor, a term of respect in London's underworld, was solidified. But it wasn't just his physical prowess that earned him this title. It was his character, carved from the same granite as his physique. A man of few words, McLean let his actions speak for him. His brutal honesty, unwavering loyalty, and fierce determination were traits that made him both feared and respected. His fighting accolades are a testament to his abilities. He was a 3-time winner of the unlicensed boxing world championship, a feat that few could even dream of achieving. His opponents were formidable, but McLean was relentless. He was a force to be reckoned with, a man who could stand toe-to-toe with the toughest and come out on top. But his ruthlessness wasn't confined to the ring. His life outside the boxing world was just as intense, filled with stories of confrontations and standoffs that further cemented his reputation as a hard man. But that is a tale for another time. Lenny McLean was not a man to be trifled with, a sentiment echoed by anyone who dared cross his path. His reputation as the Guv'nor was not just a title. It was a status earned through blood, sweat, and more often than not, a few broken bones. One of his most ruthless moments was during a brawl at the Blind Beggar pub in East London. The fight started as a simple disagreement. But in the world of Lenny McLean, there was nothing simple about a disagreement. It quickly escalated, and McLean, never one to back down, left his opponent unconscious in the pub in a state of disarray. This was not an isolated incident, but a pattern of his life, a life where fists did the talking. But it wasn't just his bare-knuckle prowess that made him notorious. McLean had his run-ins with the law too. He served time in prison for crimes ranging from grievous bodily harm to armed robbery. Yet these encounters with justice did little to deter him. If anything, they only served to enhance his reputation in the underworld. Maintaining dominance in such a world is no easy feat. It takes more than just physical strength. It requires a certain mindset, a ruthlessness that few possess. McLean had it in spades. He was a man who thrived in chaos and had a knack for bending the world to his will. Even amongst the toughest of the tough, the hardest of the hard, he was the one they looked to, the one they feared. His life was a testament to his toughness, his ruthlessness, and his refusal to be anything less than the Guv'nor. He was a man who lived by his own rules, who wrote his own story, and who in the process became a legend. But how does McLean compare to other notorious UK hard men? Well, let's find out in our next segment. The UK has seen its fair share of hard men, but Lenny stands apart. Unyielding and indomitable, Lenny McLean was a force to be reckoned with, a man who carved out a reputation of being the hardest man in Britain. But how does he compare with other notorious UK hard men? Consider Charlie Richardson, the head of the notorious Richardson gang, known for their brutal and sadistic methods of dealing with enemies. While Richardson was undoubtedly a figure of fear, he relied on a gang, a collective force. McLean, on the other hand, was a solitary figure, a one-man army who relied on his fists and formidable presence. Then there's Roy Shaw, another iconic hard man known for his bare-knuckle boxing prowess. Shaw was a formidable fighter, no doubt, but he lacked the multifaceted character of McLean. Lenny wasn't merely a fighter. He was a bouncer, a bodyguard, an actor. His life wasn't solely defined by violence, but by a variety of roles that he played both inside and outside the ring. Or take Dave Courtney, a man who made a name for himself as an underworld figure and celebrity gangster. Courtney had the charisma, the charm, the celebrity connections, but when it came to raw, physical toughness, he couldn't hold a candle to McLean. Lenny was a man who thrived in the face of danger, who welcomed adversity with open arms and clenched fists. Each of these men had their own brand of toughness, their own unique infamy. But Lenny McLean was more than just a hard man. He was a figure of complexity, a man of contrasts. He was as capable of kindness as he was of brutality, as likely to make you laugh as he was to make you tremble in fear. Indeed, Lenny McLean was a man of many layers, a man of notoriety and a man of hardness. He stood apart from other hard men, not just for his physical strength, but for the depth of his character, the breadth of his experiences, and the indomitable spirit that defined him. Lenny McLean left a mark on this world, a mark of toughness. Born in the heart of London's East End, he rose to prominence as the Guv'nor, the undisputed king of unlicensed boxing. His life was a testament to resilience and grit, overcoming a troubled childhood to become a symbol of brute strength and raw power. Throughout his career, McLean claimed to have participated in over 4,000 fights, a testament to his indomitable spirit and unwavering determination. He was a man who never backed down from a challenge, who wore his scars as badges of honor. Beyond the ring, Lenny McLean was a cultural icon. His life story inspired books, movies, and countless tales of urban folklore, cementing his place in the annals of British popular culture. His legacy continues to inspire and influence generations of fighters and hard men. To this day, Lenny McLean, the Guv'nor, remains the hardest man the UK has ever seen.